The secret to stronger steps after 70. A super affordable vitamin intro music fades in and out. Narrator: have you ever heard of a vitamin so inexpensive, yet so powerful, it could transform how you walk after 70? Sounds like an exaggeration, right? But it's not. Let me tell you about Ernesto. Just recently I met Ernesto, a 75-year-old gentleman who used to walk hunched over, with short, slow steps. Every time he went for a walk, he'd end up exhausted, with sore knees and that feeling. His legs just weren't responding like they used to, until his doctor told him about a simple, almost free vitamin that could make all the difference in his daily life. 3 weeks later, Ernesto excitedly told me he'd regained some of his agility. He wasn't running marathons, but he could climb stairs without stopping, go for walks without that constant heaviness, and most importantly, he felt independent again. And it's not just Ernesto. Studies on older adults have shown that this vitamin is directly linked to balance, muscle strength, and bone health. People who take it regularly report fewer falls, less fatigue, and a greater ability to move safely. The best part: we're not talking about expensive treatments or a miracle supplement sold online. We're talking about something simple, accessible, something you probably already have at home, or can get for less than the cost of a loaf of bread. In the next few minutes, I'm going to explain how this vitamin can help you walk better, feel more energetic, and reduce leg discomfort. It's not magic, it's science, and if you're over 70, this might be one of the most valuable tips you hear today. So pay attention, because we're going to talk about strength, balance, healthy bones, and how to take firmer steps without spending a fortune. But before we continue, tell me in the comments, how old are you, and where are you watching from today? I'd love to know and read your responses. Benefit 1. Strengthens muscle mass and improves stamina. Narrator: one of the most surprising effects of this vitamin on older adults has to do with muscle strength. Yes, that strength we often believe we lose simply because we're aging. But the truth is, it's not just the passage of time that weakens our muscles, but also the lack of certain nutrients that are essential to keep them active and resilient. This vitamin, which we'll name later, plays a crucial role in protein synthesis. You don't need to be a doctor to understand what that means. Think of your muscles as structures that need constant repair and maintenance. Every time you use your legs to walk, climb stairs, or simply get up from a chair, you're using muscle fibers that wear down over time. To keep them strong, your body needs to build new proteins, and that's where this vitamin comes in. Additionally, this vitamin aids in muscle contraction. Have you ever noticed your legs trembling when you exert yourself, or feeling like they don't respond firmly? That sensation can be linked to low levels of this vitamin, which directly affects how muscles receive signals to contract correctly. Now imagine Doña Carmen, a 72-year-old woman who a few months ago felt limited even moving around her house. Climbing 2 steps left her breathless, her legs ached, and she felt increasingly dependent. Her doctor recommended checking her levels of this vitamin and starting a daily dose. A month later, she could not only walk down the hallway without stopping, but she even went grocery shopping with her granddaughter again. The most beautiful part was when she told me, "I feel like I'm back in control of my body. Leg strength isn't just about mobility. It's about safety, independence, being able to get up without help, walk without fear of falling, and feeling like you can still manage on your own." So if you feel a lack of strength or get tired faster than before, perhaps it's not just age. Perhaps your body is asking for support you're not noticing. And the good news is that support might be closer and cheaper than you think. Benefit 2. Relieves joint pain and reduces inflammation. Narrator: one of the most common pains as we age is that persistent ache in the knees, hips, or even ankles. Pain when getting up, morning stiffness, difficulty taking those first steps. Perhaps you've felt it too. That constant creaking that repeats every time you climb stairs or try to bend down. And while we often assume it's a normal part of aging, it doesn't always have to be that way. The vitamin we're discussing has powerful anti-inflammatory properties. How does it work? It acts on the immune system, modulating the production of certain substances called cytokines. These cytokines, when dysregulated, cause chronic inflammation in the joints. It's that inflammation that irritates tissues, stiffens areas that should be flexible, and causes that constant pain when we move. Furthermore, this vitamin helps regulate calcium levels in the blood, a mineral that not only strengthens bones, but also participates in muscle contraction and nerve signaling. When calcium isn't well distributed, small deposits can form in areas where they shouldn't be, like joints, increasing pain and stiffness. This vitamin prevents that, ensuring calcium goes where it needs to be, to the bones, not to soft tissues. Let me tell you about Juan, an 80-year-old man who used to wake up with knees like concrete blocks. Every morning was a battle against stiffness. His grandson would help him stand, and only after several minutes could he take his first steps. His doctor suggested he start taking this vitamin daily, along with some very gentle stretching exercises. After a month, Juan noticed something unexpected. He was getting up more easily. It wasn't that the pain had completely disappeared, but it wasn't the torment it used to be. "Now it takes me seconds to get up, not minutes," he said with a smile. And that's the key. It's not about eliminating all pain at once, but about regaining mobility, feeling like every day you walk with a little less suffering. To enhance this benefit, a great recommendation is to combine the vitamin with some movement. You don't need to go running or lift weights. Just walking a few minutes around the house, doing gentle stretches upon waking, or moving your legs in circles while sitting is enough. Exercise, however slight, helps activate circulation, lubricate joints, and keep the body moving. And when combined with a vitamin that fights inflammation from within, the results can be felt in a matter of weeks. Benefit 3. Improves balance and coordination. If you've ever felt unsteady when standing up, or if you wobble when walking even when you're not tired, you're not alone. Many older adults experience this, and most importantly, it's not just about clumsiness or muscle weakness. Often, the real problem lies much deeper, in the connection between the brain, nerves, and muscles. The vitamin we're talking about today doesn't just act on bones or joints, it also plays a fundamental role in neuromuscular health. That is, in how our muscles respond to signals from the nervous system. This vitamin helps those electrical signals, traveling from the brain to the legs, feet, and muscles, arrive with clarity, precision, and without interference. When there's a deficiency, the communication starts to fail. Muscles respond slower, legs don't feel secure, and the brain struggles to receive the information it needs to keep the body in balance. This is called impaired proprioception. It's like the body slowly loses its ability to orient itself well in space, and that's one of the most frequent causes of falls in old age. Don Alfredo, for example, perfectly illustrates this. In his later years, he had started to feel his body sway sideways when he got up from a chair. It wasn't dizziness. It wasn't extreme weakness. It was as if his legs weren't responding quite right. His granddaughter bought him a supplement with this vitamin, and at the same time, they started doing a very simple exercise every morning, lifting one leg for 5 seconds while holding onto the back of a chair. They did it with one leg, then the other. A month later, Don Alfredo no longer swayed when standing up. He himself proudly said, "My legs listen to me again." This happens because with the support of this vitamin, the nerves that control reflexes and balance improve their function. And when the nervous system responds with agility, the body moves with more confidence. Want to reinforce this effect? At home, here's a simple suggestion. Every morning after waking up, stand next to a wall or a sturdy chair. Try to lift one leg while balancing on the other, even if it's just for 3 or 4 seconds. Then switch sides. This stimulates your sense of balance, activates stabilizing muscles, and strengthens the feedback between your feet and your brain. Remember, a firmer step, a surer footing, can make the difference between a normal day and a life-changing fall. And this vitamin could be that little push your body has been needing. Now let's move on to the next benefit. Have you felt tired even after a good night's sleep? Then pay attention, because this vitamin also has something to say about your energy. Benefit 4. Boosts energy and fights. Fatigue. Narrator. One of the most common complaints after 70 isn't pain or even lack of strength, but constant exhaustion. That feeling of waking up already tired, walking a few meters, and feeling like your legs weigh as if you're carrying sandbags tied to your ankles. It's a tiredness that isn't always explained by lack of sleep or illness. It's simply your body saying, "I'm not producing energy like I used to." And this is where this vitamin once again demonstrates its power, because it's not just an ally for bones or balance, it's also key to how our cells produce energy. To understand it better, imagine each of your cells as a small power plant. Inside are structures called mitochondria that function as energy generators. But for these mitochondria to work well, they need certain nutrients, and this vitamin is one of the most important. Without it, that energy production system becomes slow, inefficient, and draining. It's like trying to light a light bulb with a dead battery. That's why when levels of this vitamin are low, one of the first symptoms to appear is fatigue. It doesn't matter if you slept well. It doesn't matter if you ate healthy. You wake up and you're already tired. You walk a few minutes and you already need to sit down. But when you start supplementing this vitamin consistently, many people notice a real improvement in their energy levels. This is the case of Marta, a 78-year-old woman who said that every morning when she got out of bed, she felt her legs were 2 columns of cement. She had to sit on the edge, breathe deeply, and wait a few minutes before being able to walk to the kitchen. Her granddaughter gave her a bottle of this vitamin and recommended taking it with breakfast. In just a few weeks, Marta began to notice that her legs were no longer so heavy. She herself said, "It's like my body turns on faster every morning." And that testimony is repeated again and again. Older adults who start to regain energy, not by magic, but because their cells, with the help of this vitamin, do their job more efficiently again. A practical tip: if you're going to incorporate this vitamin into your routine, do it first thing in the morning, preferably with breakfast. Why? Because by stimulating energy metabolism, many people experience a small peak of vitality a few hours after taking it. And if you take the dose in the morning, that effect accompanies you during the hours of the day when you most need to move, walk, or concentrate. Do you feel low on energy even after resting? Then perhaps your body doesn't need more hours of sleep, but better fuel. And this vitamin could be just that. And if we've already talked about energy and movement, wait until you discover how this vitamin also strengthens your bones and protects your most valuable structure, your skeleton. Let's get to that. Benefit 5. Strengthens bones and prevents osteoporosis. Narrator. One of the biggest fears after 70 is the risk of a fall. But more than the fall itself, what's most frightening is what can happen afterward. A hip fracture, a broken bone, a complicated surgery, or even the loss of independence. What many don't know is that there's a simple and accessible way to reduce that risk, and that way starts by taking care of bone health from within. When we talk about bones, everyone thinks of calcium, and it's true. Calcium is the main mineral that gives them hardness. But calcium alone isn't much use if it's not combined with the right vitamin. It's like having bricks without cement. This vitamin acts as the transporter that carries calcium to the places where it's really needed, to the bones. And not only that, it also helps keep that calcium there, strengthening them from the root. As we age, we naturally lose bone mass. It's part of the body's process. But what's worrying isn't losing a little, but losing so much that bones become porous, fragile, and brittle. This is known as osteoporosis, a silent condition that progresses without giving signs until one day, with a wrong step, everything changes. The most surprising thing is that recent studies have shown that this vitamin can significantly reduce the risk of fractures, especially in older adults. In research conducted with adults over 70, those who took this vitamin regularly for several months managed to reduce hip fractures by up to 20% compared to those who didn't take it. 20% less might seem small, but when we're talking about life-changing fractures, it's a huge difference. But as I always say, one vitamin doesn't do it all alone. To keep bones strong, it's essential to combine this supplementation with physical activity. You don't need to run marathons or lift weights. Light load exercises like brisk walking, climbing stairs, or doing balance exercises with your own body. Weight are more than enough to stimulate bone regeneration. Imagine this: every time you firmly step on the ground, you're telling your bones, "Stay strong, I still need you." And when you give them the right vitamin, they respond by building themselves denser, more solid, more resistant. So if you're at that stage where you notice your bones aren't what they used to be, if you've ever had a minor fall that left you sore for days, or if you simply want to prevent, now you know that this vitamin can be a great ally. It strengthens from within, protects from the invisible. How to get this vitamin? Easy and affordable. Narrator. And now that you know its benefits, you're probably wondering, where do I get it? Is it in food? How much does it cost? That's what we're going to look at next. Now that you know everything this vitamin can do for you, improve your walking, relieve pain, give you more energy, and strengthen your bones, it's time to talk about the most important thing: how to get it. And the good news is that you don't need to spend large sums of money or look for exotic products to start incorporating it into your daily life. The first thing you should know is that this vitamin can be obtained in two ways: naturally, through diet and sun exposure, and complementarily with supplements. Both are valid, and in many cases they are combined to reach the adequate amount. Among the foods richest in this vitamin are eggs, especially the yolk, liver, and fatty fish like sardines, salmon, and mackerel. It's also present in some fortified dairy products and certain types of mushrooms. If you're in the habit of eating fish a couple of times a week, adding eggs to breakfast, and varying your diet with some liver once in a while, you're already on the right track. But in addition to food, there's a natural and free source of this vitamin: the sun. Yes, by just exposing your skin for about 15 to 20 minutes a day, preferably your arms and legs, your body can produce this vitamin naturally. Of course, it all depends on the time of day, the season, and where you live. In countries with little sun or during winter, this method may not be enough. And of course, if you use sunscreen at all times or barely go outside, your production will also be very low. That's why many people over 70 opt for supplements. And here's more good news: supplements of this vitamin are among the most accessible on the market. You don't need expensive brands or special formulas. A bottle of generic pills can cost less than a coffee a week and last you a whole month. The recommended dose for older adults is usually between 800 and 2,000 international units per day, which is approximately between 20 and 50 micrograms. It's always best to start with a moderate dose and consult your doctor if you need to adjust. Some people with very low levels may require more, at least initially. When looking for a supplement, pay attention to some important details: that it's well absorbed, preferably in soft gel or liquid form, and that it's backed by some quality certification. You don't need to pay more for a fancy label. The important thing is that it fulfills its function and that you're consistent with its use. Remember that this vitamin isn't something you take once and that's it. Its effect builds over time. It's a simple but powerful daily investment, a small gesture that can bring great benefits to your walking, your posture, your well-being. And best of all, it's within almost everyone's reach. Just a little planning, a few minutes in the sun, a varied diet, or an economical supplement. It's that easy and that transformative. But before you rush out to buy it, there's something else you need to know. Although this vitamin has many benefits, it can also have side effects if not taken with caution. And that's what we'll discuss in the next part. Precautions and interactions, narrator. So far, we've talked about all the benefits this vitamin can bring to your life after 70. More strength, less pain, better balance, firmer bones, and renewed energy. But like everything in life, you also need to be careful, because although it's an essential and generally safe nutrient, it's not without risks if used incorrectly or without supervision. The first recommendation before starting to take supplements is very simple but fundamental. Get a blood test. Measuring the levels of this vitamin in your body allows you to know if you truly have a deficiency and, above all, how much you need to reach a healthy level. Not all older adults have the same levels. Some have sufficient sun exposure, others already receive it through their diet, and there are those who, for various reasons, have levels far below what's recommended. Furthermore, it's important to consider if you're taking any medication. Many older adults take chronic medications, and some of them can have interactions with this vitamin. For example, thiazide diuretics, which are frequently used to treat hypertension, can increase blood calcium levels when combined with supplements of this vitamin, which could lead to hypercalcemia. This means that calcium in the blood rises too much, which can cause nausea, muscle weakness, and even kidney problems. You also need to be careful if you're taking corticosteroids, medications used to treat inflammation or autoimmune diseases. These drugs can interfere with how your body uses the vitamin, reducing its effectiveness and increasing the need for supplementation, but always under medical supervision. So, how do you know if you're taking too much? Although it's difficult to get poisoned by this vitamin solely through diet or sun, supplements can cause an overdose if consumed in very high amounts over a prolonged period. Some mild signs of excess can be loss of appetite, nausea, abdominal pain, constant thirst, or frequent urination. In more severe cases, there can be kidney damage or heart rhythm disturbances. That's why we insist: never start supplementation without consulting your trusted doctor, especially if you're already taking other medications or have conditions such as kidney or liver disease or cardiovascular problems. Your doctor can tell you the ideal dose, order a blood test if necessary, and follow up to ensure safe and effective use. It's also important to remember that more is not always better. Some people think that because it's a vitamin, it can be taken freely, as if it were water, but that's not the case. Vitamins have a precise function in the body, and an excess can be as harmful as a deficiency. And if you decide to take it, do so consciously. Accompany supplementation with good habits, a balanced diet, some regular exercise, and enough rest. Because in the end, it's not just about taking a pill, but about taking care of your body holistically. Conclusion and call to action, narrator. Now that we've reached the end of the video, let's do a quick recap of everything we discovered together. We've talked about a very simple, inexpensive vitamin, yet with tremendous power to help you walk better after 70. First, we saw how it helps strengthen muscles, something fundamental for maintaining balance and preventing falls. Then we discussed its ability to reduce joint pain and inflammation, especially in knees and hips, where the passage of time is felt most. We also mentioned how it fights fatigue, giving you more energy to move, enjoy, and not feel exhausted after walking a few minutes. Later, we explored its role in bone health, helping to prevent fractures thanks to its action on calcium and bone density. And finally, we learned how to easily obtain it through the sun, rich foods, and very economical supplements. No, we're not talking about a miracle pill. This vitamin won't solve everything, but it can be a very powerful ally within an active lifestyle, where you also add an adequate diet, some movement every day, and good rest. My invitation is clear. If you're over 70 and feel that walking isn't as easy as before, that your muscles feel heavy or your joints ache, try incorporating this vitamin for a month, with your doctor's advice, of course. Observe how you feel. See if you get up with more agility, if you can go for that walk without having to sit down every few meters, if you feel a little firmer on your feet. Sometimes small changes bring big results. And now I want to hear from you. Are you encouraged to incorporate it into your routine? Did you already know about it? Have you ever tried it and noticed any improvement? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to know how old you are, where in the world you're watching from, and how you feel about all this. And if you think this video could help a friend, a neighbor, a family member who is also feeling the effects of aging in their legs, share it. Because perhaps with this small vitamin, you're giving them something much more valuable, their freedom to keep walking. Thanks for being here. It's been a pleasure sharing this content with you.